From glory to misery in less than 7 days and getting back up again. This is Laura Chattington from Rebalance Living. I was flustered, stressed, and unprepared when I turned up. I was speaking in front of an audience about a very personal and emotional subject, my past life struggles, and I'd been coaxed into doing it. I didn't want to do it because I had other commitments and I didn't have time to prepare. My mentor knew me well. He knew he just had to challenge me, and the competitive side of me would find it difficult to say no. And he was right, I said yes. I turned up at the location after getting lost, running late and feeling very stressed. I could feel my hands starting to become sticky and the muscles in my stomach tighten. And when I arrived in the room, there were 4 times the number of people there that my mentor had said there were going to be. Flashes of panic entered my head and I wondered if I could just run away. I took a deep breath and waited my turn. When they called me up to the front, my legs were shaking, my palms were damp, and my heart was in my mouth. I turned to face the audience and I said my first line whilst taking a deep breath. The speech was so personal and so meaningful to everyone in the room. I remember looking at everyone's face and feeling completely connected. At the end, everyone stood up and clapped, and I got a buzz from just being there and letting out that emotion. It was really, really worth it. The speech was at a university, and afterwards the dean personally asked me to come back and do a session for a specific evening that the university has. I said I would be very pleased, and I turned up the following week. This time I walked in full of confidence from the week before. I was talking about a subject that I knew, not the same speech as before, and when I started I was enthusiastic and confident. It was completely different from the time I was there before. And this time the result was very different. Although the content was interesting, the application of my speech was misplaced to the audience and I fell flat on my face. As the time went on, the more I spoke, the more I resorted to humour, my default strategy when I'm in trouble, and that just made it worse. At the end, people politely thanked me and they left the room, and then there I was, just me, and all my expectations left in that lecture theatre, alone. Waking up the next day, I have high standards, and back then I hated messing things up. So much that as soon as I opened my eyes the next day, I got that kick in my stomach, that pain I felt when I felt I had failed. I tried to get it out of my head the days afterwards, but the memories would regularly pop into my head. I'd gone from glory to misery in less than 7 days, and I was really annoyed that I'd missed that opportunity. I decided I had to make a shift mentally to get some use out of the mistakes I'd made, and I resorted to neurolinguistic programming. There is a tool in NLP called a reframe. It is based on the fact that all meaning depends on your point of view. To reframe something is to change its meaning by putting it in a different context or frame on it. For example, a nasty experience put in the long term can be funny, or a different take on a situation can give a different perspective. Remember, our experience and our thoughts are basically what goes on between our ears. It is not how everyone else sees it. By reframing the situation, by thinking about it differently, it's just a choice we make in our head. Simple. So the question I asked myself was, how can I reframe this situation so I get some value from it and it works for me? And I came up with 3 things. First things first, I told myself that however much I hated the fact, I always learn far more from my mistakes than I do from when things go right. And I tell you what, I learned more from that presentation than all the other ones I've done that went well by 1,000,000 times. And although I was fed up with the lessons, I fed all that information back into the presentation I do from there on. I played up to the fact that I know that if I'm not willing to make mistakes, then I will never move forward. And actually I play this little game with myself now to see how quickly and easily I can get my feedback, get the feedback I need so that I can go in the direction I want to head in, or which one not to head in, failing fast forward. And lastly, although it really annoyed me for a few weeks, I know that my take on it and everyone else's experience was completely different. They didn't throw tomatoes at me, and actually a couple of people came up to me afterwards and asked for my contact details. And although it wasn't the best presentation I'd ever done, I'm absolutely certain nobody in that room, apart from me, gives it another second thought. So why should I? Whenever anything doesn't go your way or doesn't go how you want it, it is what goes on in your head that makes it bad. Put the positive spin on it, reframe it. Ask yourself, how can this situation work for me? And move on. Discover how to get clarity, confidence, and take the right action towards what you want. Get my free webinar now at www.rebalanceliving.com. This is Laura Chattington. Thank you for your time.